Big man ting, smash the like button and subscribe. Now, as promised, I was going to show you, man, what happens when Tyson Fury, when the true gypsy king of old, goes to work on cruiserweights. This is what he does to cruiserweights. This is what he does to men who weigh 210 pounds. Now, I can't play the full fight obviously, but these are the main parts. I'll talk you through it. Initially, we see Fury take a big overhand right from Steve the cruiserweight Cunningham. Now, before that punch, Fury was... Now you can type the full fight in yourselves if you like. Type in Steve Cunningham versus Tyson Fury or Fury versus Cunningham and you'll find the full fight there. What you'll notice is the first amount of rounds before the knockdown, Fury's boxing. He's trying to box. You know, jabbing, doing what he normally does, jabbing, moving and whatnot. Anyway, as it happens, as we know, same as the Wilder situation, when you spend a lot of time at mid-range against a man who's looking for one punch, it allows them, it gives them time, it gives them opportunity to, number one, work out your habits, and number two, time to get their actual shot off. Does that make sense? If someone's right in front of you and throwing, like Chisora versus Pricey, Price is known as a man who can get a right hand off. Where was his right hand against Chisora? Where was his jab against Chisora? And this isn't just me saying this. People like AJ, who commented on Pricey versus Chisora, said that I've sparred Pricey and I'm surprised he wasn't able to get his jab going. I'm surprised he wasn't able to get his right hand going, because in sparring he was able to. Oh no, he wasn't against Chisora, because Chisora ain't giving you no time. You ain't got no time to worry about your own jab. You're trying to stop your head being taken off by one of Chisora's right hooks. That's what you're trying to worry about. So the point is, initially, Fury comes out trying to box. Steve Cunningham, much like Wilder, does what he does, lines up a nice overhand right, clips Fury square on the button. Now, to be fair to Fury, there's different type of chins. You've got chins which are just rock solid, which will just absorb shots all day. Then you've got chins which can recover quickly. Fury, to his credit, he's able to recover. We have never... Yeah, he'll go to Asgard, but he does come back relatively quickly. Hence why he's never been actually fully stopped. He hasn't got the best resistance, but what he has got, he's got great recovery. As an example, Amir Khan has poor resistance and poor recovery. Once Khan's hit his hit, he stays hit. Fury, to his credit, as we saw in the first fight against Wilder, some of his best rounds came. That woke him up. And the reason I think it actually woke him up was because when you spend 9 rounds boxing around, you get bored. You forget you're in a fight. And that's why it's even more important for Fury to come out and actually go for it. Come out and actually go for the gypsy spirit, because not only will it put pressure on Wilder, also it will keep Fury focused. Half the reason he got caught was because he lost focus. He got bored, sitting at mid-range and nothing going on, because Wilder don't throw no volume. And he thought he was, and not to mention Fury thought he'd win the fight. Anyway, back to this. Like I was saying, Fury giving him loads of time. Get Cunningham catches him, big overhand right. Anyway, then the script takes from there. What do we see from then? Fury completely changes his strategy. No more messing around from Fury. High guard goes up. He's banging the body. Remember the video I put out earlier today? Fury talking to Wilder about what he does. 205 centimeters, 6'9", 270 pounds of inside fightingness. I can fight on the inside. I can throw the inside shots. Look at the guard here. One thing I want you to really appreciate here is the guard. Guard's very tight. Elbows are in. A very well schooled guard. That's what you need tight, square guard in front of your face to stop the straight shots, and also you can catch the hooks coming round. Elbows nice and tight in, no elbows flared up. Very well schooled, marching forward. For a big guy as well, he gets very tight for a big guy, chin down, even when he does drop his hands momentarily, his chin's down. And even when he's got his guard up, his chin's down. This is important stuff here. Chin down, hands up, march forward. And what happens then? After Fury wings some heavy shots, you know. They actually look pretty heavy, and it's a shame that this was back in when? This was like, 7 years ago. It's a shame that Fury hasn't really worked on this kind of style for a bit longer. Or at least learn to mix it up a bit more. Does that make sense? I.e., I think the last 3 or 4 years, or no, obviously he's been away, but from Peter Fury back in 2015, 2014 to now, he spent way too many years. He's almost lost himself. He's almost lost that other side of things. I think he should have, much like I tell AJ. We tell AJ, yeah, we want to see you mix it up more and like be more diverse. Put it all together. I think Fury's the opposite. Fury he's all boxing. He hasn't got enough for the other stuff, the inside stuff. He's kind of abandoned that, and he wasn't bad at it. Look at the shots here. I'm not being funny. When he gets put down, that right hand he slings, that 1-2 he slings was nasty. It was deadly. He weren't having it, and that's what similar to actually to when he got put down in the Wilder fight. He got put down there and he came out with some good shots. It's almost like he needed that to get some venom, but that's the wrong attitude. Go into the fight with the venom. Go into the fight with a gypsy spirit. That's the whole point. You're in a fight. Go in there and get stuck in. Double jab right hand. That's what Wilder needs to be eating. Get that guard up. Get your chin down and go to work on this dude. Way all over him. Slap them shots into his body. Push him back to the ropes and just wail. And you haven't got the most power. You haven't got the most strength. But Wilder's got little skinny legs. His legs are skinny. And look at Steve. I'm not being funny. Look at Steve S.S. Cunningham's frame. It's exactly the same as Wilder's. Apart from Wilder's taller. However, I think that's even more of a disadvantage to Wilder. Because Wilder being taller, Wilder's not taller like AJ, in as much as AJ's taller and his thickness just travels upwards. Wilder's taller, and all that's happened is his legs have just been elongated. Wilder has a Steve Cunningham frame on his legs have just been stretched out. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let's say, for example, Steve Cunningham's legs were just an arbitrary number. Let's say Steve Cunningham's legs were 10 inches thick. Wilder's have just been stretched up, so Wilder's are just 6 inches thick. They've just been elongated. So, yeah, Wilder might not be as short as Steve Cunningham, which makes it a little harder to weigh on him, but he ain't got the foundations. He's not 6'7" and got brick SHIT house legs. He's got little skinny. His legs are more spindly than Steve Cunningham's were. Go in there, chin down, hands up, and weigh all over this man, just like you did here. There's nothing more to it. High guard. And the thing is, I believe you were training with... Was you training with Peter Fury here, or was it your Uncle Huey? I'm not sure. Whoever it was, the bottom line is, you're at the Kronk gym now. Yeah? Now, I'm not an expert, I'm not a historian, I'm not sure what's the difference between what, but I'm sure they can teach you how to have a high guard, have your chin down, and how to march forward onto Wilder. And the great thing is, you've actually learnt other skills, like head movement. I think Fury should employ some high guard head movement in this fight. Kind of like the peekaboo. Not peekaboo, it sounds cliche, but I'm saying like, there's nothing wrong with having your guard up and slipping a shot. That's what Mike Tyson used to do. Yeah, he's smaller, so it's a bit easier, but still, if you see a right hand from Wilder coming, there's nothing wrong with having your guard up and slipping it. You don't have to always slip shots with your hands down. It's more risky, obviously. If you can slip shots with your hands up, number one, if your slip doesn't work, which it didn't in the Wilder fight, if your head movement doesn't work, which it didn't in the first Wilder fight, at least you'll have your hands there to take some edge off it, to take some edge off the blow or whatever. Yeah, but still, the fact of the matter is, I feel like he's got a more well-rounded skill set now. Because you should have been working on the head. You should have been working on the marching forward, the inside fightingness, 270 pounds of inside fightingness, and now you've got 5 years worth of slickness as well. It's almost like the same conversation we've been having with AJ. Put it all together. This fight, put it all together, all into one now, but with a preference towards pressure. Don't give him no time. That's what wore Steve Cunningham out. Steve Cunningham was gassed, and I'm going to do another video on this, but Steve Cunningham, he says after the fight, I felt like I was fighting two people in there. Couldn't handle it. And do you know why? You can bet your bottom dollar, before the knockdown, if that fight had carried on, with Fury just staying at mid-range, staying at long-range boxing, after the fight, after the 12-round decision, or even if Fury had got the late stoppage, you can bet your bottom dollar Steve Cunningham wouldn't have been saying, "Oh, it felt like I had two people in there." See what I mean? As another great example of that, when look at Fury versus Chisora 2. Fury versus Chisora 2, Chisora got his CUNT punched right in for him. It went all the way in for him. But still, if you'd have asked Chisora what was it like in there, he wouldn't sit there and say, "Oh, it was like fighting two people," because it wasn't. The pressure wasn't there. Yeah, he was getting his head boxed off, but still, it wasn't. It's different. Chisora wasn't tired. What makes you tired is when you're not given room, when you're the one under pressure. I'd probably say Fury versus Chisora 2. I reckon Fury was more tired than Chisora was. Just because he was the one who had to keep moving backwards. He was the one having to be fleet-footed and constantly punching. And you'll see Steve Cunningham here when Fury's got his high guard up. You'll see Cunningham kind of desperately just throwing shots, just trying to find a way out, trying to escape, just desperate to get him off him. But he just couldn't. Too big, too strong. Carl Froch style. Too big, too strong. That's what you got to do with this Wilder cat. Go in there, and we've seen Wilder's legs. They are spindly. There's nothing, and Fury hasn't got the biggest legs, but Wilder's are, wow. They are people call them basketball player legs. That's not even fair. They are spindly. If you go in there and start weighing on him, similar to this, if not worse, because in this fight, I believe Fury was 255 in this fight. Fury is now 7 years older, more mature. He was only 20 or 22 back then. He's now 30. He's more matured, plus been doing weights and whatnot. Another 15 pounds. Go in there and weigh on him. And also in this video, I've included a clip of Wilder versus Molina. Look at Molina. Molina isn't even really putting pressure on him. Molina's giving Wilder quite a lot of space initially. Molina's not anticipating. What's the word? Is it anticipating? Molina is I can't think of the word, but Molina's kind of second guessing himself, but still he's applying a level of pressure, almost like Ortiz was in the first few rounds of their second fight. Applying a bit of pressure, but also sitting at mid-range a bit. But look how successful it was. Imagine if someone goes in there and just applies pure pressure. And like I said before, the closest thing we've got to that was Bermain Stavern. Bermain Stavern, by the way, didn't get knocked down and didn't get knocked out. Is it coincidence? The first man who goes in there and applies pressure, and Bermain Stavern ain't no inside fighter. He ain't got no head movement. He ain't got no combinations. He ain't got no power. He ain't got no nothing. He ain't got no weight. He ain't got no size. He's just big FAT, lazy BUM. That's what he is. Useless, Bermain Stavern is. Bermain Stavern. Completely useless, waste of space. And even he was able to go 12 rounds. So what do you think happens when a 6'9", 270 pounds, 205 of inside fightingness goes in there with Wilder with these intentions? This is how Wilder's going down, I'm telling you now. If Fury goes in there with this intention, now if he goes in there looking to play about, I'll be honest with you, Fury can stop Wilder. However, if the truth be known, if Fury goes in there and tries to be Mr. whatever, tries to repeat Ben Davidson, he's getting knocked out. It's one or the other for me now. I'm either Wilder by knockout if Fury tries to box, or Fury can possibly win on points if he's being aggressive kind of thing and winning rounds by being aggressive, or Fury could possibly get the stoppage, but I don't think that's likely. I'd probably say at the moment I'm 45% chance of Wilder getting the knockout. I'm 50% chance of Fury winning by points, and I'm 5% chance of Fury winning by stoppage. But you got to take a pinch of salt of them percentages, because I'm just going based on what we've heard. If Fury, like I said, if Fury goes in there and starts boxing, them percentages change real quick, because they go from 45% chance of Wilder getting the knockout to 100% chance of Wilder getting the knockout. Do you know what I mean? It's very binary here. It's not rocket science. And to be fair, them stats I've given you are actually very similar to the odds. The bookies have it straight down the middle, 50-50, which is actually great, to be honest, because it should be Wilder's fight all day, in my opinion. The fact the bookies have got it down the middle, I think that supports my opinion. I think people are starting to back what Fury is saying, and rightly so. But it'll be a real shame if he don't go in there and deliver, because there's two ways you can go. You can go out on your back, or you can go out on your back and not have tried. You could have lost that December 1st, 2018 fight. You could have lost that fight, and afterwards you'd have been saying to yourself, oh, I didn't even hit him back. At least in this one, if you lose, at least go in there losing, knowing, you know what, I gave him 4 rounds of war, or I gave him 9 rounds of whooping. Not to mention, we're not even sure he's got the power 2 finisher. So why not test it? Why not try and finish him? These are the questions that need to be asked. We've seen it. The blueprint's there. We know you can do it. So go in there and do it. We've heard you talk about 6'9", 205, 270 pounds of inside fightingness. Let's start seeing it now. For it's been absent for the last 7 years. We need it back desperately.